Sometimes it's easier to be in opposition than in government. And the trappings of opposition sometimes have far greater appeal than being in power. I think we just need to ask Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and Treasurer Jim Chalmers, because 2 months into office, and both Albo and Chalmers have a headache that's fast developing into a debilitating migraine. This week was the first sitting week of Parliament since Labor's election win, and what should have been an occasion for celebration for Albo and his government wasn't. Instead, it was overshadowed by an issue Albo and his government have limited ability to control. We saw the official inflation rate released on Wednesday had reached 6.1%, and Jim Chalmers' economic statement today is expected to announce a cut to economic growth estimates. Add to that, next Tuesday, we have another predicted interest rate rise, and suddenly a macabre, disturbing dilemma for Anthony Albanese and his Treasurer emerges that I'm sure they wish they never had. So the question now becomes, how will Albo and the government handle an economic problem that could be set to explode? Because Albo and his government have so far enjoyed a level of electoral goodwill shown to most incumbent governments. But at what point does the electorate say, we're sick of hearing enough of the phrase, what we inherited? Just today in an interview, Chalmers condemned 9 years of coalition inaction and then, in the same breath, declared Australia to be in an excellent economic position compared to the rest of the world. So how did we get there? So what is it, Treasurer? Is Australia in trouble? And are you capable of steering the economy and instilling confidence into the business market and ensure industry doesn't panic? Or are you incapable of stopping the economic ship from sinking? Because Albo's pre-election campaigning as the knight in shining armour with a plan to save Australia, hopefully isn't about to see him fall off his horse. Albo's problem now is for him to address the concerns of Australians. He must accept that there's not much that he can do to address them without significant policy contradictions and the economic consequences that flow from them. Economists have said that there's a looming clash heading between politics and economics. And while the RBA has been trying to take the money out of the economy, different elements of the government are putting it back in. The Morrison government's budget put about $17 billion into that economy, and that quickly taken back out again by the RBA. Now, Albo's problem over the coming weeks will be losing the goodwill he has established with Australians. It will be lost as interest rates rise and the removal of the petrol subsidy occurs. It will be a double-fisted rabbit punch to the cost of living, which will be an impact to wage earners. And having lost the argument on extending the pandemic payment, Chalmers can't afford another loss. It will weaken his standing within the party. And Chalmers is definitely no Paul Keating. Yet, Albanese will have to do something to be seen to be tackling the problem. He can't do nothing. And this is Albo's conundrum. From a policy perspective, relief for cost of living pressures, which requires spending, doesn't work. Because throwing money at issues like the global GFC and the pandemic have left Australia in significant generational debt, which exemplifies why being in opposition definitely has its perks. Albo has a horrific economic dilemma he has to contend with only 2 months into his prime ministership, and neither Albo nor the RBA have control over an issue which is out of their hands. However, it will be the Russia's war with Ukraine that will weaken Albo's position as a leader in control of Australia's economy. And Australians will be keen to know who is steering the SS Australia. And if Albo and the Treasurer continue to sit back until October to deliver an economic statement, it will be politically and electorally destructive. Now, Chalmers can no longer blame the Morrison governments for issues that extend beyond its control. It's a political ploy of blame shifting that will fast wear thin, and we're already seeing that. Because, Treasurer, You can't have it both ways. You can't blame the Morrison government, but also declare Australia to be better off economically than the rest of the world. That's gobbledygook, reserved for the ignorant and the naive. Australians are neither. And sometimes it seems, as we've said before, it's better to be in opposition.